At 30, a lot of us carry around a list. You probably didn't write it down, but you haul it everywhere anyway. And that's actually worse, because you can't lose a thing you never put on paper. We built these lists on the assumption that the universe has a strict set of operating instructions. The logic is that mapping out the rules of how the world works and following them to the letter will keep you safe from the chaos. The expectations on the list are usually straightforward. You assume that effort is a reliable currency, that if you put in the hours, those hours will pay you back later. You also figure that by a certain age, you'll arrive at a permanently calm, flat lake of a self. Then you live a few more years. You start rubbing up against a messy, random reality that completely ignores the rules you've been following. You watch people work themselves to the bone and get nothing. When the world refuses to obey your list, that foundation you built starts to turn into something else. You find yourself stubbornly defending a rigid view of how things should be, rather than engaging with how they actually are. The absolute certainty we chase as adults functions as a psychological trap, consuming an exhausting amount of energy just to keep the wall standing. One of the first things to break is the idea that hard work is fair. We treat effort like a vending machine. Put the coins in, get the reward out. But the universe doesn't operate on a clean conversion rate. This visual model demonstrates the difference between individual skill and sheer circumstance. You can plot the perfect trajectory. You can sail exceptionally well. But the environment is mostly weather, and you can still catch the wrong wind. That same friction shows up in what we choose to pursue. You get a shape in your head of the life that is coming, and you spend years pushing toward its corners, checking off all the boxes you were told mattered. You stand inside the finished shape. You get everything correct, but feel a strange flatness, like a room decorated from a magazine. Nothing breathes. You became so fluent in those desires they looked like truth, until you feel the seam. Treating effort as a clean transaction and desire as a societal checklist leads to empty achievements. You end up with a life that looks right on paper, but feels hollow in practice. We carry equally rigid assumptions about other people. When someone hurts us, we often assume there is intent at the bottom of it, a little engine of malice running while they smile at us. The world is mostly populated by tired, frightened people, barely holding their own things together, knocking into each other in the dark. You often simply happen to be standing where their baggage spills. Then there is how we view our own internal beliefs. We're taught that changing your mind is weakness. We're told the strong move is to plant your flag, defend it, and never waver. We treat consistency and integrity as the same thing, when in reality, they are unrelated. A person who never changes their mind isn't strong. They are stuck, operating like a broken clock right twice a day, and immensely proud of it. Demanding absolute permanence from your intellect while assuming deliberate malice in everyone who crosses you serves only to isolate you and paralyze your ability to grow. The final item on the invisible list is the expectation that by now you would have your feelings figured out, that the messy, complicated emotions of your youth would neatly resolve. But you get to the age you imagined, and you are still surprised by yourself. You still get blindsided by an old song. You still feel 14 for a full 10 seconds when someone you respect looks disappointed. This lack of resolution is actually a success. Letting go of the need for certainty gives you more internal room to hold your emotions while they refuse to settle. Being less sure about the things that matter actually feels better. At 30, certainty was a kind of armor, and you don't notice how much it weighs until you start setting pieces of it down. You keep waiting to feel naked without it, but mostly, you just feel like you can move. You don't have to throw the list away entirely. You just stop writing it in permanent ink. You write it in pencil, and you make your peace with the eraser. Maturity reveals itself in the flexibility to hold the world loosely, moving forward even when the ground beneath doesn't feel solid. Holding everything loosely might be the only thing worth being sure about.